Eric, you looked at the stats and our chances are what?
Almost zero. It's almost impossible for you to get Ebola because it's from West Africa, and unless you're having direct contact with a human who has it, bodily fluid interactions, that type of stuff, it's impossible for you to get it. So this is the kind of example where our emotional part of our brain takes over the rational part of our brain, and it's interesting to follow the news, and it's really gruesome, and it is a really terrible thing to happen to people,
right.
But it just isn't likely to happen to somebody, especially if you're here, if you're in New York City, for example, if you're here in America, if you're not traveling to Africa or hanging out with people who've come from there.
So what are some other chances that you could die, other ways you could die versus Ebola?
It's very morbid. For example, if you look at the entire history of Ebola going back to 1976, only about 2,600 people in the entire world have ever died from this disease. That's as many people that have been murdered in New York City in the last 5 years alone.
Wow.
That's as many people that have been murdered in the top 10 cities in America in 1 year. You're 10 times more likely to kill yourself this year than you would have been to ever gotten Ebola ever in the history of the world. So we should be more afraid of ourselves than this actual disease.
Than this actual virus, then. Okay, but don't you have a list of 5 things that could affect you more than Ebola?
It's anything could affect you more than Ebola. I mean, it could be 5 things, it could be 100 things. I mean, it's lightning strikes,
water
it's shark
crisis,
attacks, it's water crisis, climate change, all these things that are long-term issues that we don't talk about on a daily basis, like water running out, for example, because this is a story that's so gradual that it doesn't have an impact today.
Well, and one of them on the list, electromagnetic pulses from outer space.
Yeah, I mean, there's research that shows that there's a 5% chance that we might have this pulse that could just kill a lot of people. It's like the opposite of a sunspot where it really comes in, there's a big bolt of energy. So there's all kinds of crazy things out there.
I think recently happened, by the way, not that there was a pulse that came here, but I mean that there was something going on in the sun that was very disturbing.
There's all kinds of dangerous stuff. Ebola is not what we should be worried about at all.